Is the house that you're picking up, like, obviously we're not going to go into super specifics because you don't want to get like swatted type thing, but
Yeah.
like, how is that pretty close to where you live currently, or is that in a more major
Yeah, yeah.
area?
I mean,
Very
it's in
close.
the same. Yeah, it's in the same town, so
Hmm.
it will not be too much different for my lifestyle, but it will be very different for content, which will be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. That's one thing that I mean, you've done this actually different than I have. Like, your room isn't necessarily where you create content because you have like this little, like, it's like a, what do you call it? Like a storage room?
Yeah, it's just a little storage room.
Yeah. Like, one thing that I've done basically since I've made videos is I always have like where I record videos next to my bed. Like, my bed is literally back
Yeah.
there, which I'm starting to learn is a very bad idea because it's not good for sleep, knowing that like you're looking at like your studio, and then it's not good for work because you know your bed is right behind you. That's
Yeah,
one thing I really want to do is separate the two because I feel like that's just better for productivity and everything
I
like that.
agree. I love not having my setup in my room. It's great having it all the way down here. Just
Feels
means
like
whenever I
you clock in, like you literally
yeah,
step into an
exactly.
area. And,
Yep.
yeah,
As soon as I leave the room, I'm gone. Like I'm not. I'm over it. I'm out. And then as soon as I enter it, it's like, let's go. Like let's do this. It's time. Time
yeah.
to record videos. Get content creation done.
I feel like that is actually one thing that is tough for our generation of or like what we do is that everything is still like, you know how they would say like the dads and families work too much. They're always taking phone calls when they shouldn't be, stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's so that's gonna be so much easier to do, which is bad for our like what we do because like Discord is on our phone, Instagram, like all of our, I don't even use my main Instagram anymore. You know what I mean? Like everything I have on my phone is related to YouTube in some way or another. Like there's very little personal stuff. So I feel like it
Yeah.
is really hard to disconnect and clock in and clock out
That's
like
super hard.
fully, knowing that at any moment in time you're more than likely doing something related to the business, whether it's, talk to coworkers, get on Twitter, get on Instagram, stuff like that. It's hard
I
to get
don't
in that
think
kind of
I've had
mentality.
like yeah. I don't think I've had like a day where I haven't been doing something to further YouTube career. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? To further the business and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
even when you
It's really
disconnect, you
weird.
don't fully disconnect. Like even when we were talking about the sauna, like when I was in the sauna, I was still thinking about what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? It was just a better
Yeah,
time to do
yeah,
it, I guess. There's more
yeah.
focus on it. But when you're
It's like
doing stuff like
like I
this,
feel like with the light from the phone, bro. It's like it's when you have the phone in your hand, it always feels like you're on, like you're switched on. Whereas with when you're with the steam room without the phone, you feel like switched off and you feel like your mind can just run free. Whereas with
yeah,
the phone in your hand all the time, you're always focusing on something. You're procrastinating on something random. You're flicking through all these apps. Oh, you're going to go on Instagram for 5 seconds, flick off it, see a nice looking girl, and then go over to Twitter. And then you're going to be like, oh, I was on Twitter. Let me go back to Instagram. And then it's just a cycle of wasting time on those apps.
yeah,
Whereas if when you're in the steam room, you get clarity, you get a nice little heart pump out of it, you're sweating, you're feeling good, and you can just think about things that actually matter rather than what little Timmy from freaking Arkansas said to you last week on a freaking YouTube video.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Way better.
yeah. That actually reminds me too. I watched a video of Graham Stephan. Do you know him? He's like a financial.
Yeah, I seen you comment on the video, the relationship one.
It was a Gary V video.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, that was like a year or two old. But I seen you
Yeah,
comment on his most recent one
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah. I
I
did.
see. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so like with the Gary Vee video, I remember he said in it, he said something along the lines of, if you take the time to analyze every second that you spend in a day, you'll start to realize how much of that is just false justification of what you're doing. So like whether or not you're scrolling on Twitter or Instagram, you're gonna tell yourself that's a business practice, you're doing something for your business. But if you start
Yeah.
to cut all those seconds, they become minutes, they become hours. Like you're gonna save yourself time, and you could reallocate that into bettering your life, like your personal
I
life.
agree.
You could better your business in a more productive way. So that is an interesting thing. Is at least for me, I'll justify doing things that probably aren't really doing anything for me, but because it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's Discord, stuff like that,
Yeah.
I'll just say it's good for me. It's good for my business.
Yeah, it's like same thing with making decisions. If you're sitting there for 30 minutes every day deciding whether you want a freaking iced or a hot coffee, like that's a waste
Yeah,
of time. If you're sitting there thinking about whether you should make this video or that video, you could have probably had them both done in the same time as you adding up the time that you spent thinking about which video to make. Like there's just keep go and keep doing the stuff that you want to do. And if you make a mistake, then so be it. Like you're not the same person that you were last year. You're not the same person that you were a month ago. You're not even the same person that you were a day ago because every time you wake up, you're experiencing a new life every single day. So just keep going. Just don't think about it too much and just do what you have to do to make the purpose happen.
yeah.